So good morning, my name is Chris Rhodes. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and an MVP in Windows and devices. And I work for a company called IT Masterclasses. And what I'm here to explain to you today and to unpack for you is a brand new exam. This is an exam prep session we're hosting today on a new exam called MS-101. This is a Microsoft 365 exam that just got announced yesterday, and it's called Mobility and Security. So hands up in the room, who's heard of this so far, given that we only just announced this yesterday? A very small percentage, great. Okay, this is all brand new. So what we're going to hope to cover today then in today's session is a breakdown on certification. Lots of things have changed literally just this week. So we want to unpack some of that for you, give you a heads up on that. Specifically talk about this exam and unpack the objective domain areas of this exam, so you've got a pretty good idea of what to expect when you come and sit the test. But also we want to talk about exams in general. Hands up in the room who's taken an exam in the last, say, 2 years. Quick show of hands. Oh, a good half the room there, that's excellent. But equally, there's half of you that haven't taken a test recently, and things will be perhaps different to what you might have done 5, 10 years ago. So we want to talk to you also about how to prepare for this exam, and exams in general also. I'll be giving you some tips and tricks on how to take the next steps before you go and book that test. The key takeaways for you are to try and understand really the session objectives. We're going to drill down into that exam objective domain area, find out really what is the meat of that exam MS-101. But also, I want you to take away with you some knowledge about how you can start studying, how you can start learning this new stuff. Where can I go today to start experiencing some of this? So I want to give you some resources there. But also we want to try and break down for you the kinds of things, the kinds of questions that you might expect. So I've actually thrown in some examples of some questions as we go through. So pay attention as you go along. There will be questions. Okay? See what you can learn along the way. So let's start with certification. And as I mentioned, a lot has changed. There were some big announcements made yesterday, so we want to unpack some of that and to try and understand where this exam has come from, because it's new. So what's been announced this week, literally yesterday, was that we now have job role-orientated certifications and trainings. Starting with this Microsoft 365 track, we've got 2 that we're announcing this week, more to follow. I'm going to be spending most of my time here discussing the M365 Enterprise Administrator and the component exams that make that up. But we also want to point out that there's also going to be a modern desktop administrator certification that you can take. That's coming soon. Right now, this is very early on in the curve. We don't have these exams in market yet. We're trying to give you the heads up to say this is what's coming. Start learning now. These exams will be available soon, but you can start that journey for learning and picking up what you need to know now. There's training available already for the M365 Enterprise Administrator. So let's unpack those a little bit more. First of all, the modern desktop administrator. This is an associate level exam. So we don't have an equivalent thing like MCSA, MCSE here. This is whole new certifications that have been announced. So if your job role is to do with things like Windows 10, you're managing deployments of Windows 10, managing Windows 10, that sort of thing, then the modern desktop administrator associate level exam is probably where you're going to start that journey in your Microsoft 365 overall track. And as I mentioned, that's just being announced. It's going to be coming soon. We don't have exams yet. We don't have training yet, but we will have very, very soon in the next weeks and months to come. We expect to be able to announce soon other roles in this space at the same level, at this associate level. Okay? We don't have those identified yet. We're not ready to share those yet, but watch this space. The only one we're announcing at Ignite this week is the modern desktop administrator. What we're going to go into in more detail, though, is the expert level certification. So I'm going to be talking to you about one of the exams today that comprises what you need to learn to become an enterprise administrator for Microsoft 365. And this is an expert level. So I just want to make that distinction here. We will have these two levels. The things I'm talking to you about will be expert level. So these are tasks that are going to be undertaken by a global administrator of an M365 subscription. These are not going to be done by the everyday administrator who's looking after users and password resets. This is going to be tasks that an enterprise administrator is going to be doing. And we'll break that down in a moment and explain what that job role is and where that's come from. Just a quick word on the badges here as well. One of the things that we're announcing this week is recognition of where you are, what you've done. So when you take an exam, you will get an acknowledgement of that. You will be able to post that onto your LinkedIn profile. You'll be able to post that onto your social media. People can click that and understand that you've done what you've said you've done. They can prove that. That will take them to a claim where they can see, yes, you've taken that MS-101 exam, and this is what you had to do to get that. This is something that you'll be able to identify to your employer or to colleagues to show, yes, I've demonstrated I've actually done this. So this is something new for credentialing now that we're announcing to give you more kind of recognition along the way, rather than have this milestone that's far off in the distance and you eventually get a certification. There's things that you can get along the way, along that journey. So each exam you take will get you a new badge. Let's unpack this job role, because I think it's worth spending some time understanding where we're coming from with understanding the job role itself, but also to set the scene for these two exams that we're going to be explaining. So let's talk about how this started. A few months ago, Microsoft sat down and said, let's think about the new jobs of today and for the future. Let's not worry about what we had before. Maybe what we had before doesn't fit the new cloud era. And this is definitely one of those new job roles. This job role didn't exist a couple of years ago. Why? We didn't have Microsoft 365 a couple of years ago. In fact, that was only really announced this time last year at Ignite as a technology. So this is brand new. Let me break down what a Microsoft 365 Enterprise Administrator does. And this is based on a job role analysis that was done by a number of subject matter experts to identify what should somebody in this job do. So let's talk about it. A Microsoft 365 Enterprise Administrator takes part in evaluating, planning, migrating, deploying, and managing Microsoft 365 services. They perform M365 tenant management tasks for an enterprise, including its identities, security, compliance, and supporting technologies. We'll talk more about that soon. Candidates for these exams must have a working knowledge of M365 workloads and should have been an administrator for at least one of the M365 workloads, such as Exchange, SharePoint, Skype for Business, Windows as a Service, etc. Candidates also have a working knowledge of networking, server administration, and IT fundamentals, such as DNS, Active Directory, and PowerShell. So does anyone in this room think right now that fits their job title? Quite a few. I'm surprised. That's cool. I'm really impressed. The world is changing quickly. This is a job role that subject matter experts have defined and said, if you're going to be this person, some of you are already doing this. That's fantastic. About a quarter of you put your hands up. But many of you may be aspiring to this. Maybe this is something you're going to be doing in a year's time. Maybe your company hasn't actually carved out that job description yet. As I say, we're unpacking this very early in the process to give you this heads up so you can start thinking about where your job might be, where maybe your job's transforming. Maybe you're no longer doing desktop support. Maybe you're not doing Office 365 support. Maybe this is you in 12 months' time. I sincerely hope so for some of you. So, this enterprise administrator for Microsoft 365, what do you need to do? What have you come here to find out about? Well, essentially, if you want that certification, which is way on the right-hand side of the screen here, you will need to take 2 exams. We're here today to talk about MS-101, which is the Identity and Security exam. We'll also be doing an exam prep session on MS-100 tomorrow. So come back tomorrow if you want to find out the other half of this track, because I'll be unpacking that in tomorrow's session as well. So somebody who's entering into this pipeline, where should they start? It's entirely up to you. You can take either exam in either order. It doesn't make any difference. Check that one off and then study for the next one. Check that one off and then study for the next one. Check that one off and then study for the next one. Check that one off and then study for the next one. But it's entirely up to you. There's no order you have to do these in. If you're taking MS-101, then what you're going to need to know about is things like device management, security management, and compliance management. And those are going to be trainings that are going to be made available. Learning, plural site. There's a learning, plural site. There's a learning, plural site. There's a wide variety of people already creating content for this at the moment. Many of these are yet to be in market because this is all brand new. It's only just announced. But very much watch this space. If you're studying for MS-100, you've got things like tenant and service management tasks. We've got identity management and Office 365 management. You'll need to know all of those things to be successfully certified as a Microsoft 365 Enterprise Administrator. First of all, any questions on that? This is all new stuff. I expect that some of you may have questions. If you do, come up and use the mics, please. Please.
Are these offered over here this week, or they're coming soon?
These are, yeah, good question. Are these offered so far? Not yet. These exams are coming very soon. We're hoping around November. That's what we're pitching for at the moment. Not this week. There are many exams you can take this week. Pretty much all the Azure exams, the new ones that follow suit with this new roadmap of job roles. But these are yet to be released to market. So we're expecting those to go into beta around about November. That's our aim. Okay, which isn't that far away. Okay, we're at the end of September now, so actually it's only a few weeks away before we're hoping that those will be in market. So start studying. That's our message today. No, you can't take an exam on this today, but you shouldn't be doing, because we haven't even announced what this is involving yet until today. We want to unpack that so you can go away after this week and start studying. Or better still, put into your calendar this week the sessions that are on Ignite so you can start learning to this. Okay? There's absolutely loads of Microsoft 365 sessions on during the week here at Ignite. Start putting those in your calendar or watch them when you get back. Start prepping for this now. So let's have a quick think here about exams in general. We're going to have an overview of exams and what's involved in those. There are some new announcements I want to break to you as well. And then what we're going to do is spend the rest of the session talking about the exam objective domain and breaking that down and understanding what you need to know to be able to pass that test. So let's start with the exam overview. Exam basics. Every exam is slightly different. They focus on different technologies. As a result of that, there's slightly different things you need to know, of course, but we measure you slightly differently in terms of the number of questions. Approximately, you're going to find on any test that you do, be it one of the Azure ones that you could take this week or the MS-101 that you'll be able to take in a few weeks, you're going to have about 40 to 60 questions. Questions are usually worth the same value, but some may be worth more than 1 point. Some questions may have multiple parts to them. They're more complex, they're more involved. So some questions get assigned more than 1 point. Maybe just a straightforward multiple choice is, on average, 1 point. Other questions, maybe 2 points, maybe 3 points, depending on what it is. One piece of advice I would give you is always answer every question, even if it means guessing if you're running out of time. There are no negative assignments here. If you get a question wrong, it doesn't count against you. It's always worth putting something down there just to get, hopefully, something out of that. Leaving a question blank makes no sense. You should always answer every question, even if at the last push, it's a guess. You never know. Some questions can't be skipped. Sometimes you work in different distinct sections within an exam. I'll be talking about that more in a moment, where you have to answer that series of questions as a block before you're allowed to continue to the next section. So whilst there's an overall time for your whole test, there are sometimes mini blocks within that you have to complete before you can move on. If you're never sure about an answer, something that I would definitely do, and I do myself, is mark it for review. You can tag any question and say, I want to mark that for review, and at the end, I can come back and assess all of those review questions to make my final choice. If I wasn't quite sure, maybe sometimes when I do an exam, my nerves are quite on edge when I first start. So I maybe need to mark the first couple just until my nerves have calmed down, and then I can go back and sanity check those. Most exams are scheduled for a 3-hour time period. You're not going to be answering questions typically for 3 hours, but your time period includes survey questions, signing in time, comments at the end. But typically, you're going to have about 150 minutes to answer the questions on the test. You'll have a timer in the corner so you can keep watch over that at all times. These days, we do have a lot of multiple choice questions in exams, but we also have a different variety of questions. If they were all multiple choice, frankly, you'd get bored halfway through your test. We don't want that. We want you to stay awake the whole test and successfully complete it. So we like to spice things up. We like to have things like build list questions. That means put these tasks in a certain order that they have to be done in. We sometimes have drag and drop questions. Drag this target to this source. What do you need to do to achieve this goal? Sometimes it's drag and drop. And there may be several things you have to drag over to several targets. One thing we'll talk about in a second is performance-based testing, which is new. We'll come to that in a slide or two. For many expert-level exams especially, expect case studies. Case studies are more involved. Case studies give you much more detailed information about a scenario, about a company, and what they're hoping to achieve. We usually give you information that sets up that scenario. What's their environment like? What does their Active Directory look like? What does their M365 environment look like, for example? And then we'll give you a series of questions based on that scenario information. So you'll spend quite a bit of time reading, and then you'll have a series of questions that relate all back to that same scenario information. I quite like case studies myself because it's more real world. It feels more like the kind of job I would be doing if I was advising a company or building out a solution inside my own company. They feel real world to me. That's the goal with those. But it also means they're pretty good for testing you folks because we make you understand and analyze a situation instead of just question, answer. It's more involved. You have to think a little bit more. And that's better for us in a testing perspective to understand, do you really understand the technology? We want you to pass this exam. We want you to be the qualified candidate. We want you to analyze situations and apply your knowledge to give the right answers. This is a new thing we just announced at Ignite this year that you're going to start seeing in all the new tests. If you go and take one of the Azure tests, at the minute you step out of this session, you will start to see this for real. This has gone live now this week. And it's called performance-based testing. This is a new thing that we're starting as of the Azure 101 and Azure 100 exams. We expect to see this across all the new generation of certifications, including the ones we're talking about today. And what we're going to give you here is an environment that you connect to. So in this case, we've got a screenshot of an Azure portal. If you were taking an Azure exam, we're going to give you an Azure portal as part of your performance-based test. So we're going to give you some tasks. The tasks you can see down the right-hand side here. We're going to give you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tasks that you're going to have to complete as part of that performance-based test inside of your exam. So you're going to sit there and do a bunch of multiple choice and drag and drop type questions, and then we're going to say, hey, now complete 7 tasks. Here's an environment. Go do this task. We're going to give you 7 tasks in this case. Go complete those 7 tasks. We don't mind how you do that. In this example, we're using Azure and the Azure portal. Maybe you go complete it in the Azure portal. Maybe you load up the Cloud Shell and do it in PowerShell or CLI. We don't really care. As long as you get it done, we will then score that based on what you did, not how you did it. So you might do it in all kinds of different ways. That's fine. As long as you got to the endpoint that we've asked you to do, we will score that automatically as part of your exam. This is a whole kind of automated process. And people have been asking for this for a long time. People have said, I want to show you that I can actually do this. Sometimes multiple choice questions might be confusing. Sometimes I don't like the language. I want to actually demonstrate that I can do this for real. This is a real world thing. I live in the real world. I want to show you that I can do real world tasks. So who thinks that's kind of exciting? Who's looking forward to that? Yeah, about half the room. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is going to be, I think this is going to be really interesting. I think this is going to get really good approval. But we're hoping this is going to map to what you actually do in your job. Yes, sir, you have a question? Yeah, could you mind coming up to the mic? So expect those to go live. Expect those in the tests going forward. At least one of the tests in a certain track will have elements of this. So we're talking here about MS-101 and 100 is related to this. At least one of those tests would have these is what we're expecting. Yes, sir, your question.
I'm just curious with the change of pace and how often that the portals and the other web pages or even the PowerShell commandlets change. And in the past, test questions have always lagged. So I'm wondering how it's going to work with keeping the UI up to date or the PowerShell commandlets up to date. Are we like, if we learn the new stuff, are we going to show up and have to know how to do it the old way, which we don't use anymore? And how's that going to be kept up?
Perfect, good question. Yeah, so how are we going to keep up to date? This is the live, real environment. This is not a simulated environment. This is the real world. So in this case, again, we've got the Azure portal. This is not a simulated Azure portal. This is the real thing. We're giving you a subscription that you connect to that is the real, actual thing that you see back at your desk. Okay? So that's going to keep pace with the technology in exactly the same way that you see it at your desk. So it's always going to be the most current, up-to-date thing that you get as a consumer of that technology. Okay? This is not a pretend environment. It's wrapped up, but it's the real thing that you connect to at the back end. So because we're talking about M365, we're going to get you an M365 admin center that you're going to connect to. You're going to get a subscription. You're going to get to do real things in that. But it will be exactly the same one that you see in your job. Okay? So there's going to be like zero delta between when you're learning something and what you're doing and what we're testing you on. Those are going to be exactly the same things. Yep, good question. Thank you. Yeah, come to the mic, please. Please go ahead. Let me skip that. Yeah, go ahead.
For those of us that are still looking at the old exam, do those go away, and then are replaced by these new ones come November?
For old, so which old exam are you referring to?
The Office 365 administration.
So good question. So is Office 365 exams going to go away? No, because this is slightly different. We're going to talk about what's inside here, and some of what's inside this exam will be Office 365 technologies, but it's also EMS, it's also Windows 10. So I don't foresee that the Office 365 stuff's going to get retired just yet. That's still perfectly valid. People can have an Office 365 subscription all by itself. So I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. There's no plans for that. But this is going to, hopefully, in the market, people will eventually increase their subscription from an Office 365 to an M365. That's what Microsoft would want us to do. But no, this isn't going to retire that anytime soon. We're going to have those concurrent.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
No problem. But in your job, you might want to be thinking ahead. If I'm an Office 365 administrator today, might I want to grow into that other role and have more skills and have more breadth in terms of what I can do as an M365 administrator? So watch this space. We're going to be talking about a little bit of that as we go along as well. So let's talk about exam scoring. When you take a test, you always have a pass mark of 700 out of 1,000. One misconception people have is that, hey, that means 70%. Well, no, it doesn't. The cut score might be 50% or 75% or 90%. That's never exposed. That's all based on how the test is performing and how people actually complete that in the real world. Maybe that changes over time based on if people are finding it really, really tough, maybe that score will be lowered over time. They assess that on a continual basis. But when you're looking to pass an exam and you get your score report, what you're really looking for in that score report is a score of 700 or more. That means you've passed, well done. Okay? If you've got 1,000 points, good for you. But 700 is what you're looking for as a passing score. So, a few tips. As I said already, there are no negative points for wrong answers. Always answer every question. It cannot harm you. Obviously, we'd like you to answer all of those well, with knowledge and with aptitude, but it pays definitely not to leave anything blank. Always fill in an answer. You can sometimes skip questions and come back to them at the end, unless it's in one of those blocks, like a case study or a performance-based test. But generally speaking, you go backwards and forwards or mark questions and come back to them later outside of that. Now, exam question structure. Something that I hear sometimes from students when I teach them is that they get confused over language. So I just want to kind of explain how an exam question is structured. They all follow the same anatomy. They all follow the same pattern. We start off in a question by explaining the big picture. Hey, this is the technical environment. This is what we're giving you. This is the scenario. You work for a company that has deployed a Microsoft 365 subscription. You have 10,000 users in 3 sites. That's the big picture that we give you up top in the environment. We then give you a problem statement. Users are not authenticating to Azure Active Directory and cannot reach their mailboxes as a result. Something like that. That is your problem statement. And what we'll then give you is a goal statement. You need to ensure that users can reach their mailboxes and be authenticated by Azure Active Directory. What should you do? Okay, so they tend to follow that same pattern. We use the same language, and that's deliberate. So knowing this up front means that you're able to quickly scan to the information you want. The first words are always going to be very, very similar. They're going to be, you have a subscription, you are a developer, you have an account. Then we're going to say what the problem is, and that's where you really need to spend time. What is the problem that we're being asked to fix here in our solution? And the goal is going to say, you need to do this, or you need to recommend a solution that does X, Y, Z. Okay, so you've really got to look at that goal statement, because that's what we're asking you to write at the bottom. You need to accomplish this goal. You need to ensure that such and such is fixed. Or you need to recommend a solution that meets the goals that we set out above. That's where it's really important to focus. So that was some generic stuff on exams all up. That was definitely going to help you for all tests that you take. They are all standardized in that way. What we now need to look at, though, really, is MS-101. That's what you came here to learn about. And as I mentioned, this is one of a pair of exams. You need to do 2 exams to be a Microsoft 365 Enterprise Administrator. And this exam focuses on 3 main functional groups. Implementing modern device services, which is about 1/3 of the points. Implementing Microsoft 365 security and threat management. And then finally, managing Microsoft 365 governance and compliance. Then what we're going to do next is kind of break those down in each area and deep dive into each of those functional group areas and explain and unpack what's involved in those. Before we do, just one thing I want to kind of give you as a picture here, which is, let's just remind ourselves what M365 actually is comprised of. M365 is a subscription. It's a package, but it's comprised of lots of different technologies. So putting the marketing side away to one side for a second, as a technologist, what do I need to know when I'm approaching these exams and I'm studying? Well, I need to know that, yes, M365 is made up broadly of Windows 10, Office 365, and Enterprise Mobility and Security, but it's not just that. It's how they tie together. It's the technology that underpins those. I'm managing this as a bunch of services, not 3 individual silos. I'm managing it as an integrated solution as an M365 administrator. I need to manage the subscriptions. I need to manage the tenants. I'm looking at this holistically. That's where you should be coming from. Now, some of you said, oh, I'm an Office 365 administrator. Well, great. Maybe you know 1/3 of that silo really, really well. What you need to now do is go sideways out and learn EMS and Windows 10 and how those things knit together as well. Or maybe you're coming from Windows 10. Maybe you're a Windows 10 expert. Maybe you're already certified in Windows 10. Fantastic. That's 1/3 of it then in the bag almost. But now what we need to do is learn the other areas and, again, see how those relate to one another. Because that's really the big thing with Microsoft 365. It's not just 3 individual silos. It's how do I apply Azure Information Protection to Windows 10 for information that might be stored in an email inside of Exchange Online or SharePoint Online. Everything is knitted together, and that's what you've got to appreciate and start getting your minds into with M365. So I'm hoping that some of you in this room will know some of those areas well, because you're already doing some of those things in your job. So when you come to learn this, when you come to study, don't leave that completely to one side, but specialize then in learning the bits you don't know from this entire suite. Can I just ask in the room as well, how many people have M365 subscriptions at work? Okay, a good half to 60%. That's excellent, good. Okay, so let's deep dive then into our first area. Our first functional group, let me just wind back. Our first functional group is all about implementing modern device services. So let's dive deeper on those, starting with the first may include area. And that's manage domains. So when you're setting up subscriptions, you need to understand about why you might want to use not just the default domain that you get when you set up, but adding other domains in here, verifying those domains. You maybe need to configure user identities. So when people log on, they have the logon format with the domain name that you want to use. We also need to understand how that pans out, not just to their M365 identity, but to things like their Exchange email address. Again, we're talking about an integrated suite of technologies that work together. So somebody's identity isn't just their logon name, that might be their email address that they use as well. So how do those things coordinate? When I set one thing up, it has a knock-on impact to lots of other technologies. Just setting up a domain in the M365 Admin Center isn't just for somebody's logon. It's for a variety of things that happen underneath that. We've also got to consider what else I need to do to activate that domain within those workloads. What do I need to do inside of SharePoint? What do I need to do inside of Exchange to fully accommodate that new domain I've added? Those are tasks that we'd expect you to know, and we'll be testing you on. Okay. Also, MDM, Modern Device Management. This, for a lot of people, is what they're moving into as we get more cloud-orientated in our desktop machines and of our devices. We're not just looking at, well, in fact, it's not just desktop machines nowadays. People have tablets, they have mobile phones, they have portable computers. This is where we're at today. The days of going into an office and just having desktop computers that didn't move, those days are gone. Now, in the modern world, we have to manage devices across all kinds of different platforms. We have to manage Windows, iOS, Android. How do we do that? So we need to think about how you are going to plan for MDM, how you're going to manage those devices. You might want to think about which devices you want to have. How do you control data on those things? Are we going to be able to wipe devices if they have corporate data on and the device is lost? You know, these are kinds of things that come up under MDM. So some of the tasks as a M365 administrator, you need to know about how do I set the MDM authority? Where do I do that? Which interface do I use? And that's confusing because M365 means if we need to know M365 really well, we have to know lots of portals. We have to know Azure Active Directory portal. We have to know the M365 Admin Center and a bunch of others. We'll see some as we go along. So as an example, here this one's taken from the Intune portal. In Intune, we can set all kinds of things to do with device enrollment. For example, on the right-hand side here, we're looking at enrollment restrictions. Are there any types of devices we want to restrict? Are there any limits on how many devices each user is allowed to enroll under MDM? This is just one example of some of those things we've been talking about, but it also goes to show you that, hey, you're not just going to be inside of one admin center. You're going to need to step out. When you click on the main admin center, there's a link to all of the other admin centers. You have to have knowledge of those things. There's the Exchange Admin Center, there's the Intune Admin Center. You've got to have experience with those things. You've got to know not necessarily where things are, but you need to know what things you can set. Because some things like this cannot be set anywhere else. They can only be set here. You can't do them in the Azure AD or the Microsoft 365 Admin Centers. You do have to have that level of knowledge. Okay? So not necessarily which button do I press, but whereabouts would I go to do that? Is it an Azure AD task or is it an Intune task, for example? That's the kind of level I'm trying to get to. When it comes to device compliance, this is something that's again, quite new for most of us, is we need to think about, if I've got these iOS and Android and Windows devices all managed, do I need to have them compliant? Do they need to have policies on them? Do they need to be controlled? Do I need to set up conditional access policies for application access? And if so, what kinds of things can I put inside of a conditional access policy? Has anybody here in the room made a conditional access policy before? Okay, about 10%. All right, good for you, 10. The 90, learn what these are. Okay, because these are a modern part of how we manage devices and control people's access to applications going forwards as well. So here's a screenshot from, again, from Intune, to show you things like how you can check for compliance. Maybe I've set up a compliance policy, and I want to check how many of my devices, at the moment 0, how many of my devices are compliant to that policy and how many are not. So a big part of M365 management is also about reporting and seeing, not just setting up the policies, but reviewing what impact those policies have had and how successful those have been in applying to the devices as well. In this case here, we're in Intune. Actually, you could do this in Azure AD, I seem to remember as well. This is creating a conditional access policy. So you can nominate things like applications, how people need to authenticate. Maybe you insist on multi-factor authentication when people are accessing certain applications. If you haven't done this before, as most people in the room have not, it's definitely stuff you need to practice and play around with. Let's move on to the next section. Plan for devices and apps. Lots of things going on in here. You might be planning for a Microsoft Store for Business, so you can present applications to users for them to consume. You might be thinking about how I deploy apps. You know, in the modern world, we may not be using traditional tools like System Center Configuration Manager. We might be using instead things like Intune. How do I deploy apps using Intune? How do I deploy apps using other methods, such as the company Store for Business? There's new ways of doing things that you did traditionally on premises 3, 4, 5 years ago. Learn the new ways. This is an M365 administrator, so we're thinking cloud first all the way. We're not probably going to be testing you on Config Manager, hate to tell you. This is going to be looking at Intune for managing applications and devices. So if you deal with a lot of on-premises technologies, it's now time to scale up. It's now time to learn those cloud technologies because we're very forward-thinking here with this M365 role. We're thinking cloud predominantly, if not 100%, 99%. We're not ignoring on-premises, but most of these tasks are done outside of the organization in terms of they're done in the cloud. They're not done on a server on-premises. Okay, so some examples here. How would you create a store for business? You need to configure that. What do you have in here for the users to consume? So these are just some examples that I took as screenshots. App protection status as well. So again, it's about reporting. A lot of M365 tasks are going to be reviewing what was set up. Are our apps compliant? Are our apps protected? Are people authenticating correctly? Those are the sorts of things that you can get out from this. Okay? Maybe you're deploying desktop applications. Office 365 deploys applications. Who do we deploy those to? How do they get them? Do they get them automatically? Do we deliver those automatically when a computer joins? Maybe you're doing autopilot. So maybe when you log on to your Windows 10 device for the very first time and you authenticate using your cloud identity, maybe we already pushed down the Office 365 apps to you at that point. Okay, so there's different ways to do this. In many cases, there are several ways to achieve the same goal or different similar ways to achieve the same goal. And this is just one method for helping us deploy applications. We also need to think about Windows 10. This is very much still a big part of M365. Some of you might have already deployed Windows 10 inside your organizations, but a lot of companies still haven't done that yet. And we're getting to that point where Windows 7 is going to be end of life very, very soon. People will be doing this if they haven't already. So how do you do this? How do you not just deploy it once, because that's not how Windows 10 works. We've got to think about Windows 10 as a service. We're getting feature updates. We're getting not just monthly patches, but we're getting every 6 months, we're getting new feature updates, aren't we? How do we plan for that? How do we distribute those? These are some of the things an M365 administrator has to think about. We might be looking at upgrade readiness. Maybe I'm on Windows 7 right now, and I want to understand whether I'm going to have any problems before I upgrade my machines to Windows 10. You guys have to know about how to tap into upgrade readiness information and to look at those reports. I think I have a screenshot of that one, actually. There's absolutely tons of information about deployment. I could be here all day just on this one. If you go to docs.microsoft.com, which is where I've taken this from. So if you're perhaps that gentleman earlier, like you're an Office 365 administrator, and you don't really do this in your job, there's tons you can learn about this. Or maybe your company already deployed Windows 10, so you didn't get involved in that project. Still learn how to do it. We're going to measure you on that on the exams. We're going to make sure you know how to deploy Windows, not just once, as an ongoing story, making sure it's kept up to date constantly. How are you going to do that? Are you going to do different deployment rings? So I definitely would urge you to read some of this stuff, understand Windows Analytics. Probably most people in this room, I guess, haven't used Windows Analytics before, where we can have a look at upgrade readiness reports. I would definitely urge you to have a look at that. Here's an example of a report that you can get from Windows Analytics to show you, are you ready for Windows 10? Do you have any client issues that you need to deal with before you go ahead and deploy the operating system to those. Are there any application issues? This is the kind of thing that you can get from analytics to report back so you know what you're expecting to hit if you were to do a deployment right now. Right, let's see who was paying attention. It's my first practice question for you. So these are just practice questions I made up for this presentation. These don't exist as real questions in the M365 exams. We haven't got them yet anyway. So let's just see what you think. You have a Microsoft 365 subscription. You support devices that run Windows, iOS as well in your organization. You plan to enroll all supported devices to Intune. Your solution must ensure that only Windows and iOS devices can be enrolled to Intune. Which should you configure? Is it device type restrictions, device limit restrictions, device enrollment managers, or device category? Shout out, what do you think? Hey, are you right? Yes, device type restrictions. You were paying attention, thank you. Yes, device type restrictions is the answer. We can limit the kinds of devices that can come along and join our Intune environment. Well done, well done. If it's this easy, you're going to pass like anything. Okay, let's move on to the next section then. So the next functional group area is looking at implementing Microsoft 365 security and threat management. And for many of you here, I suspect this is an area you're definitely going to need to brush up on because a lot of it is brand new and you probably won't have touched it in your jobs so far. I could be wrong, and I hope I am. So we're going to look at a few areas here. Has anybody done any work with cloud app security? A few, a small handful, okay. So the rest of you guys, what do you need to know? You need to understand what is cloud app security. How do I configure this? And again, like which portal do you do this in? Where would you do this? What does it involve? You need to know about how to configure policies for cloud app security to control applications. You need to look at designing a solution for this. Remember, we're enterprise admins. Maybe we're not the people pushing the buttons. Maybe we're designing the solution for somebody else to go and implement. You need to have kind of an awareness of the implementation side of it, but an enterprise admin really is that overall overarching job role that manages the whole thing. Maybe this is something you end up delegating, and that could be true for any of these things we're talking about. So you should definitely have a part of your brain thinking about designing solutions for this. You have a scenario where you need to do X, Y, Z. You need to design a solution that encompasses that. That could be a question. So a few other things you need to have awareness of. Setting up alerts for cloud app security. Again, reporting and alerting is very strong within M365, but you need to set those alerts up. What do you need to know about? What kinds of things can you put in an alert? You don't have to tell me now, but that's the sort of thing you need to find out about. If you're enabling cloud app security, what kinds of things do you need to be alerted on? You may not want to look at the dashboard 4 or 5 times a day. Maybe it's more intelligent for you to set up alerting so you can be notified when things happen. That's a much more sensible way to go. Okay? So this is an example of the Cloud App Security Dashboard. If you've not used it before, there's things like alerts that we've got configured in here. This has got some sample data in there so you can see that we've got different severity events that we would need to drill down into to find out what's going on. So maybe you would look at this once a day, once a week for sure. But based on the types of activities in there, I would definitely look at setting up alerts based on the activities you commonly see or need to know about because they're high impact, high severity to your organization. Okay. Also, in this case, I've set up an activity to be alerted about access from, or activity from an infrequent country. So in this case here, we've got a user in the middle of the page here who's accessing a file in SharePoint. Maybe that user is normally working in the US, but here we can see in this example that there's been an access from China, which is not normally where this worker resides. So that's coming up as a potential threat for us and a potential breach. Maybe Grady has actually gone on a business trip and is actually in China, but it's going to report that to me and say, this is unusual. We're not expecting this because this person doesn't normally work in this country. Their accesses typically come from the same location. This is unusual behavior patterns we're identifying here. You might want to know. So this could be something you've set up as an alert. You might want to know about those unusual activities. That could be a breach in process. Okay? Lots of other built-in policies that you can leverage like that in cloud app security. Logons from risky IP addresses, publicly shared confidential files. Those are things that organizations need to know. Hey, we all live in this GDPR world these days. We can't have publicly shared confidential files because that's not confidential anymore, right? If it's confidential, it should not be publicly shared. So if that's happened, that's a breach. That's a GDPR breach. Not just an information breach, but you may be in violation of laws now with GDPR. So a lot of companies are very seriously looking at this to solve those GDPR type questions that come up. Okay, threat management. Let's take a look at this. The bulk of this is all about advanced threat protection, Azure Advanced Threat Protection. So anyone deal with that currently? This is a fairly new area. A couple of hands, okay, a few, very small percentage. So you need to think about, what do I want in my threat protection landscape? What kind of designs would I need to create to make sure my information, my users are kind of protected? So you need to know about ATP, about the policies that you can create in there. For most people, this is new. Start learning this stuff now. So you can figure out, what can you do with this? What are the examples of things that I can actually achieve with ATP, and why would I want that? Well, you want it because it's part of your package. Why would you not want this? You're paying for it anyway, but most people may not be immediately aware that this is part of an M365 subscription. It's definitely a great piece of tech. I would definitely urge you to go and look at this, because in the real world, this has some really good relevance to the sorts of things we need to look out for for data, for users. But you've got to think about, how do I deploy this? This is probably a new service for many organizations. It takes some thought about how you're going to deploy that. And again, like, how am I going to alert people? Who's going to be alerted? What kind of incidents do I need to be alerted upon when they occur? Okay, so just to give you some examples, if you've never seen ATP before, there are some things you can be told about, like anti-spam. What actions do you want to take on this as well? You can automate a lot of your reactions to this. So, for example, safe attachments. We want to check that all the content in our email attachments is safe. It doesn't contain any malware. It doesn't contain any ransomware. We want to make sure we're protected with ATP for that, so that when we send an email, we can send it with confidence, that it's nice and clean, and it doesn't have any nasties in there. Okay. Also, on the back of that, Windows Defender ATP. Know how to implement this to the desktop. Know how to implement Windows Defender ATP solutions for the desktop computers that are going around. And increasingly now, of course, they're portable devices. There's more risk when you move around a lot. You're all on a Wi-Fi network. It's not your own this week if you've plugged a device into the Wi-Fi network here. There are risks when we do that. We have to be protected. We've got to think about computers out in the field, going on customer sites, coming to conferences. How do we protect against those? You've also got to think about Windows Enterprise features and how those might complement. With M365 subscriptions, you've got the opportunity to use Windows 10 Enterprise. Many of you might be on business packages, Windows 10 Business. Maybe you need to step up. Maybe there's things that you can leverage now that you've got this brand new subscription, that are part of the operating system that maybe you didn't have access to before. There's a ton of things in there that distinguish Windows 10 Business editions to Enterprise editions. Find out what those things are. What are those features that we're talking about? So again, just some examples here. This is the safe attachments, the one that we were talking about. I'm up inside here in threat management, in my admin center, and there's a whole area here for understanding what's happening right now, what things you've set up. So in this case here, we're creating a safe attachments policy. How should we deal with attachments for unknown malware? Should we take no action? Should we monitor that? Should we block that? You're absolutely in control of this, but you're the person setting this up. An enterprise administrator is typically the person who's going to be defining how this works for their organization. So there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that role. Okay, maybe one of the dull areas, but reports and alerts are actually probably one of the most valuable things that you can get out of M365. So there's things like service assurance. We need to know about identity protection, making sure that the information and the identities that we're looking after are being used the right way. We've got a ton of dashboard reports for that. You also need to know who can do that, as an example as well. Can anybody do this? No. There's certain individuals that you can assign responsibilities for. So one of the things I would look at when I'm studying is understand all the different roles that you have. Okay, find out what the roles are in M365. You don't want to give global admin privilege to everybody. Okay, just in case you were wondering. You don't want to do that. That's bad. Yes, there needs to be at least one person, probably several, but a very small number of global admins. Beyond that, there's other people who can do tasks. How do we split this up? Maybe we have a security officer inside our organization. How do I empower that person to perform those reports, to understand those reports? Maybe they're not setting them up. Maybe I'm setting them up and they're reviewing them. So you've got to think about how that kind of split administration works. But again, you're the enterprise admin. You're defining how that works, even if you're not the person directly consuming those reports on a daily basis. So in this case here, for example, we're inside of the Azure Active Directory Admin Center. We've probably gone to our home page for the day, which is our M365 Admin Center, and maybe from there we've launched out to Azure AD in this case. So we can see if there's any identity protection alerts, we might want to set those up, have some emails sent to the relevant folks. So maybe, again, I'm not perhaps receiving those as the enterprise admin, but maybe my security officer, my security team, or my identity team is receiving those alerts, but I'm probably setting the alerts up. Okay? So that's the kind of person that an enterprise admin is. They may not be receiving every single alert, every single email, but they're defining who is for these different areas. Okay? So if you haven't touched things like Azure Identity, Azure AD Identity Protection, check it out. It's a premium Azure AD feature. Have a look at that. Okay? And again, reports. I'm not going to read all of these out, but you've got dashboards here. So that, again, there's a crossover between where you might go to see some of these things. It's not just going to all be in one place, unfortunately. Here's another screenshot where we're actually in an Office 365 alerts dashboard area to look at some of these things, such as, I can't remember which one this is now, elevation of privileges, elevation of administrative privileges here is being reported on, for example. Okay, so let's see who was awake. Another practice question. You have, by the way, did you notice I'm trying to be consistent with my language here? This is not like the real exam questions. You have a Microsoft 365 subscription. You need to examine reports that show users flagged for risk. Which portal should you use? Is it Azure ATP, Microsoft 365 Admin Center, Security and Compliance, or Azure Active Directory Admin Center? All of those are real places, but which one? A few different answers, but predominantly people said C. No, it's Azure Active Directory Admin Center. You must have been dozing. I did have a screenshot for that. Okay. But this is part of the challenge that I was trying to explain. There are numerous. You've got to know them all. You've got to know what can I do in each place. Sometimes there's overlaps. Sometimes you can do the same thing in two places, but for most tasks, they're in a specific area only, and that's kind of a challenge when you're learning. I have the same problem. I quite often load up the M365 Admin Center, and I go, oh, where is it I want to go? And I'm maybe clicking a couple of places before I remember. Oh, no, it's in the other Admin Center. Okay, when you come to the test, you've got to know those things. Okay? Don't worry, we're all friends here today. It doesn't matter you got it wrong. Some of you got it right. Yeah, question, come up front, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. One of the things I noticed here looking at this is that a lot of your domain topics are E5 features. So does licensing play at all into the planning area of the skill domains, or how does that work as far as like the different SKUs and what's available in them? That's
a really good question. Thank you for that. Yeah, so the question is, a lot of the screenshots I have are some of the most top-level enterprise E5 type SKUs. Yeah, good point. We're assuming from a study point of view, from an exam point of view, that you're using absolutely everything possibly available. Now, you personally may not have that most highest of SKUs personally in your organization. Maybe you didn't buy E5. Assume, for the purposes of the exam, however, that you are using all possible, or you have all tools at your disposal. Assume E5, for example. That may be tough for some of you because you may not have physical access to that. Read around, watch a lot of videos, come to sessions this week. There's plenty of things you can learn about without necessarily having it in front of you. That would be the ideal, though. If you can get hands on an E5 subscription and play with that, that is the ideal. But we're assuming for this exam that you have access to the widest possible range of tools. Okay? Because if we created the exam, say, just on M365 Business, not Enterprise, people would complain and say, well, when do I get tested on that other stuff then? All the really good stuff that enterprise people get, when do I get tested on that? And then we'd end up with two different pathways, and that would be really confusing. So we assume the highest possible SKU, the widest possible tool set. For some of you, that may be a bit tough to chew on because you don't have that yourselves in your organization. You'll have things missing, in other words, in your portals. Go that extra mile and find out what those other areas are, either by watching videos, by doing online learning, by coming on a course. You've got to plug that gap. So I'm not going to lie to you. You've got to know those things. We're assuming kind of the E5 type SKUs. Yeah. Yeah, good question. Okay, last area, folks. Excuse me. Managing M365 governance and compliance. Wow, that sounds fascinating, doesn't it? But it is actually really useful. And again, you can tell from my accent, I'm from Europe. We've all heard of GDPR, though, even over this side of the pond. So this is very important. Lots of folks are spending a lot of time doing that. So there's definitely a business case for doing this. But from an exam point of view, why do you want to look after governance and compliance? This is an increasingly big story now. Companies are using M365 to get compliant, to manage their governance. A lot of organizations are buying subscriptions for that purpose. So in this area, we've got a few elements to look at here. DLP, data loss prevention. You know, I certainly need to be aware of that in my company back home. I can't have data loss. And if I do, that's a possible GDPR breach, and maybe I have to report that. So there's a real-world implication to this. We're not just making you study stuff that you'll never use. This is stuff people will use, either because they want to or because they have to for compliance. And compliance is everywhere now. Just about every company on the planet has to be GDPR compliant, even if you didn't want to, even if you're in the States. So a few things here. You've got to think about configuring policies. Again, you're the person defining those things typically. DLP policies might come up in other workloads like Exchange, like in SharePoint too. You've got to have a knowledge of those things because DLP isn't just done in one place. It can be done in several places. That's why we said at the top of this that an M365 enterprise administrator has a knowledge of those workloads. So maybe you're not pressing those buttons inside of the Exchange admin center. Maybe your Exchange administrators are, but you need to coordinate with those folks. You're setting the all-up policy here. Maybe you're doing some top-level tasks, but then you have to pass responsibilities down to your SharePoint administrators, your Exchange administrators, for them to do the DLP things inside of their workload. So you've got to know where that tie-in is and work together. So in this case here, we're creating a DLP policy inside of the M365 admin center. So we're saying what kind of information do we need to protect? How are we going to protect it? Which areas do we want to look at? Is it Exchange? Is it SharePoint? That sort of thing. And what are going to be the settings here for that policy. So again, you're defining a lot of this stuff early on in your subscription when you set it up to manage that data from day one before it leaves and breaches the organization. And then again, we've got reports on that. So where would I look to ensure that we are actually compliant? It's no good just setting up a policy and walking away. We need to check that we haven't had any breaches, that those policies are good, and that we haven't had any data loss. Okay, next up, implement Azure AIP, Azure Information Protection. This is a big area. Maybe some of you have used rights management services on premises before, so you may have a good kind of working understanding of where this has kind of come from. And in fact, you know, maybe we do need to talk back to on-premises with the connector here. Maybe we're protecting information on-prem using that right now, but we want to move that forwards and start doing it in the cloud as well, but we're not ready to move all of the data in one fell swoop. So maybe we need to connect them up and have Azure Information Protection and rights management working side by side in a hybrid world. If we've moved it all to the cloud, however, or we just started only in the cloud, then we're probably going to be using AIP to protect data. So you need to know about things like classifications and labeling, how labeling can be automated. So if I've got a document that has the word confidential in it, how is that information protected? Can it leave the organization? Can somebody email that out? Can somebody store it outside of SharePoint? That's the sort of thing that we need to set up here with AIP. Okay. Lots of tasks involved in that. So in this example here, we're setting up a label called highly confidential, and we're defining what that actually means, what the severity of that is, how we're going to mark information as well, so users are aware of this. Maybe we silently mark it, maybe we do something visual with that. There's lots of things you can do here around policies. And where am I doing this, by the way? Which portal am I in? Anyone recognize the portal? Yeah, clue's in the name of the technology, by the way. Azure Information Protection, right? So I'm not in the M365 Admin Center doing this. I'm inside of the Azure portal. So it's just another one of those portals to kind of learn. Sorry about that. All right, almost through, guys. Data governance. We need to think in the modern world now about not just preventing data from leaving the organization, but how long we keep information for. Sometimes we have to store information for a certain number of years to be compliant. So there's lots of things you can set up here, like retention policies that define those things. For this kind of data, store it for 7 years to make sure you're compliant. We've also got to think about how we're going to back up and restore content and plan for those retention policies I was talking about. So in this case here, we've got a policy called PII retention policy. It's enabled, and we're applying it to certain workload areas, such as Exchange email, OneDrive, SharePoint, and Office 365 groups. And we're defining how we're retaining that information. So we've set up a 7-year retention for that kind of data here in this case. So this is an example of one retention policy. You may have all kinds of different policies for all kinds of different data. Maybe you've got a policy for your SharePoint data that's different to your Exchange data. Or maybe you don't view that any differently and you have the same policy spanning both workloads. That's something for you to think about depending on your organizational needs. Auditing, very finally here. Auditing is about tracking this. You know, everything that an administrator does, whether it's the enterprise administrator using their global admin privilege or somebody lower down that has a much lower role in the organization, you probably want to audit what they're doing. You maybe have to for compliance and governance anyway, but you can track a lot of what's happening here. So here we can do, for example, an audit log search to discover who's done what and when. When did Chris set up the retention policy? We could track that. That's going to go into our audit log. So you need to know how to do that, how to report on it, how to do this discovery of information. All right, and that kind of brings me over to e-discovery. E-discovery has to be part of that story when we're talking about compliance and governance. People need to search for information. Hey, Chris might have sent an email that had the word M365 in it. We want to be able to track that. Maybe we have to hold that information so he can't delete that out of his mailbox. We may have to use that against him in a court of law. So maybe we need to, so you folks need to know how to set that up. And again, we could be spanning multiple workloads, and that's why your administrator role has to have knowledge of workloads. Because we can't just tick one box in one place to say, hey, let's do an e-discovery, but we can perform e-discovery searches. You need to know who can be empowered to do this. What roles do they need? If I'm assigning someone to do e-discovery, what's the minimum privilege they need to be able to do that? Can anyone do that? No. Do you want your M365 global admin doing that? Probably not. Inside of an organization, they're probably not the person that's responsible for doing e-discovery. It's probably a different group, a different team. It's probably not the M365 administrator doing that task. Okay? So when we're doing e-discovery, we can say which workloads do we want to scan against. So again, we've got things like email, Skype for business teams, it could be SharePoint sites and so on as well. You could define the areas you want to scan on. And that's one of the cool things about M365 is that we're spanning all those technologies. You know, I think a lot of people first thought with M365, hey, it's just a marketing term. It's just 3 products under one roof. Not so. It's about integrating all of these things in a way that makes sense for an enterprise administrator to be able to say, we can tie those things together. We can treat them as individual workloads under one roof. And from an e-discovery perspective, certainly that pays dividends. It helps us to get information found wherever it may be stored. Okay, final practice question then, folks. And then we have a few slides to finish up. You need to recommend a solution that allows an information officer to search emails for possible data breaches. Your solution must ensure that the information officer can access all analysis features, but cannot perform any other Microsoft 365 administrative tasks. You need to recommend a role to assign to the information officer. What should you recommend? It could be records management, it could be e-discovery manager, supervisory review, or reviewer. And all of those are genuine roles. On the exam, they're always genuine things. They're not made up things. So I've followed suit with that here. So, folks, what's your answer? People said B, I think, overall. Let's see if you're right. You are right. Well done. Okay? But you need to know these roles. Okay? All of those are genuine roles that you can use to apply to different responsibility areas in M365. E-Discovery Manager, well done, well done. Okay, so let's finish up here while we've got a few minutes left to think about how are you going to prepare. A lot of this information was all brand new. It's going to take time to digest that and to start thinking about study, so how are we going to help you today? As I said at the top, courses are coming. We have online microlearning already for M365. While we don't have the exam yet, we do have materials. Expect people like Learning Partners, LinkedIn Learning, Pluralsight, and other online course providers to also have content coming out very, very soon. All of those are producing content as we speak. In terms of instructor-led training, I'm going to go into that in a second. Learning Partners is where I tend to work. I'm an instructor. I tend to teach people at a learning center or remotely based on official curriculum. Many of you here might want to blend that. Maybe you want to take a Pluralsight course for one of the pieces of that puzzle, and you want to do some micro-learning on your own by watching some videos and courses online, and then maybe for one element, you want to take an instructor-led course. Microsoft have made it kind of easy for you to dip in, dip out, so you don't have to sit doing a 5-day course to cover everything. Maybe you do a 1-day or a 2-day course to cover some elements. And like we've already talked about, some of you might know elements of this already. Maybe you're an Office 365 expert already, but you don't know the security and compliance stuff. Just do a course on that then, to fill in the blanks. I would definitely urge you to come and look at the new page that just got published yesterday, microsoft.com/learning/exam MS-101. That's where this information has been published to that I've been going through. So you'll want to go back and walk through that again. But those sections that I've talked about, you can find on there. There's going to be also study groups on there. Okay? We've only just put this page up yesterday, so don't expect too much of the study groups today. But going forwards, we want you folks to collaborate and work together and say, hey, what else did you study? What other resources did you use to study for this area? I'm finding it difficult to find this information. You guys help each other. Okay, we'll pitch in as well. Trainers will pitch in. We'll help, but we want you guys to be in that conversation. We want you to work together. I'm in a study group, and there's engagement every day. People are asking questions. The bulk of those questions are answered within the group by the group members, not the group admins. We want you folks to collaborate and help each other, and you're going to learn loads from that. These tend to work really well. We will have practice tests. Practice tests will be available for these exams after the exams come out of beta. So we're expecting these exams to come into beta around about November. After they have finished beta a few weeks later, that's when you'll be able to purchase practice tests, but we don't have those yet. Massive resource you should definitely be looking at if you want to start learning stuff today, docs.microsoft.com. There's a tremendous amount of information. In some cases, you're going to have to look in the Windows 10 area. Some cases, you're going to have to look in the Office 365 area. In some cases, the M365 area, and so on. But it is all there, okay? In some cases, you've got to spread out and look in be prepared to look in several different areas. You're not just going to find it under one subheading, unfortunately. You're going to have to look up, because Azure Information Protection is part of Azure. Okay, Office 365 is different to Windows 10. So that's the way the information is organized right now. Maybe that will change in the future. But docs.microsoft.com is an extremely rich area. I use it myself a lot to find out information. There's lots of walkthroughs. So if you want to practice stuff, there's lots of scenarios and walkthroughs where you can set your own test environment up too. Tips and tricks. Going back to the gentleman's question from earlier on, you really must have hands-on experience. There is no substitute for that. Maybe you're doing that as part of a course. Maybe you have a subscription anyway for work and you're able to look into that. But really get used to the Microsoft 365 portals. Not just the main admin center, but all the other ones I've alluded to as well, like the Azure Active Directory portal, the Intune portal, and so forth. Assume the highest level SKU. Assume the widest possible feature set. In the Microsoft world, that's what ideally they'd like you to use, but we're going to test on that. We're going to test on the E5 type features. We're going to test on the Azure AD premium features, and so forth. You do need to know some of the workload basics. I've alluded to that as I've gone along, but we don't expect you to be an expert in every single one of those. You don't need to be an Exchange expert and a SharePoint expert and a OneDrive expert, but we do need to have a good working knowledge of those and where the interactions are between what you're going to be doing as an M365 enterprise admin and what you then need to coordinate with your workload administrators. Okay? That said, if you want to be an M365 enterprise admin, then you do have to take a workload associate level certification as well. So whilst I'm saying you don't have to be an expert on all of them, but you do have to be at least one of them to get this eventual certification at the end. So you'll need to take MS-100, MS-101, plus a workload associate level as well. So you can take your pick based on your specialisms. Maybe it's modern desktop or one of the ones we haven't even thought of yet. Watch this space. Please understand the job role that's been defined and work to that. That could be slightly different to what you actually do in your operational job day to day, but this is a new job role that we've come up with. Maybe that will fit you better in 6 months' time or a year's time. But work to that, because that's the expectation that we're setting out. If you're going to be a certified Microsoft 365 enterprise admin, please read the job description that we gave you at the start here, because that sets the scene, that paints the picture. Okay, take action. So what we'd really love you to do is come and continue the conversation with us in the expo hall. Please find out Microsoft Learn. We can give you more advice on this stuff. I appreciate it's all new. You're going to have questions. Come and find us. We have got lots of exams that you can take. We can't take these today, but there's lots of Azure exams and any other exams available to take in the testing center while you're here this week. All exams are half price. We also have some transition exams, which are just new as well. So if you're, say, an Azure 533 exam person and you want to step up to the new Azure roles, we've got transition exams on offer at $49 this week as well. Come and talk to us. That's the most important thing. Have a conversation with us. We want to talk to you. We want to open this up and chat with you and find out what your aspirations are, where you want to go, how we can help you, give you some more advice on these specific exams as well, hopefully. Take a look also at the aka.ms/mscert, where you can find all information about this stuff. That's your good landing page to begin finding out more about what to do next. Please come to my other sessions. The companion session to the one we're doing right now is the MS-100 Identity and Services exam. If you want to be that enterprise administrator, you've got to do both. So come to my other session tomorrow if you have time. That's BRK2434. And I'm also going to be unpacking more of the story about the journey and how we got here and the roadmap in the theatre session on Thursday. So we'll be talking more about that job role in a sort of 20-minute theatre format. So if you want to know more about that and how this fits in with the big scheme of things, theatre session Thursday as well. Okay, well, with that, thank you very much for paying attention, and good luck with the exam and the study going forward. Start learning now. That's why you came. Thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions, please stay behind. Thank you.